It all began on one of those stormy nights when rain pounded the windows as if poured from a bucket and thick clouds hid the stars. I was sitting in my small studio apartment on the edge of town, lost in thoughts about the day that had passed. It was around midnight, and outside an eerie silence reigned, broken only by the sound of the storm. That night was destined to change my life forever. I had just finished reading a book about paranormal phenomena when suddenly my phone rang. The screen flashed an unknown number. At first, I thought it was just a mistake, but something in that ring compelled me to pick up the phone. "Hello?" I asked, trying to hide the tremor in my voice. An icy, almost bone-chilling silence filled the line for a moment, before a voice, both disturbingly familiar and yet completely foreign, spoke. "Hello, it's me, from the future." My fingers instinctively tightened around the phone, and my heart skipped a beat. The voice spoke evenly, without emotion, yet every word carried a cold, unyielding determination. "You must listen carefully," the voice continued. "In the coming days, an event will occur that will turn your life upside down. You need to be prepared." Before I could ask even a single question, the line went dead, leaving me overwhelmed with an unbearable sense of dread and confusion. Thoughts raced through my mind. How can this be? Is this some sort of joke? Yet the feeling that this was real burrowed deep within me. The next morning I woke with the impression that the night had brought something far more significant than just a strange experience. In the usual rhythm of the day, everything seemed slightly off. The clock on the wall was a few minutes behind, and even the smallest events appeared to repeat, best of as if time itself had been disrupted. The words from that mysterious call haunted my thoughts, urging me to understand the cryptic predictions that had been given to me. Throughout the day, I noticed how random encounters and strange coincidences began to follow me. At the bus stop, I met a person who, it seemed, knew about my midnight conversation, even though I had never spoken with him before. In a supermarket, the television flashed news of a series of unexplainable incidents in the city, and all of these pieces formed one ominous picture. Back at home, I tried to analyze the situation. My mind sought logical explanations. Could this be a trick of the imagination, a waking dream, or, on the contrary, a warning about an impending catastrophe? Doubt battled with growing anxiety, and I decided that I had to figure out what was happening. Summoning all my strength, I resolved to go out and find the source of these occurrences. At night, when most people were asleep, I headed to a small local library, which, according to rumors, housed archival materials on strange experiments as with time and space. I felt that the answers lay somewhere here. In a dusty corner of that old building, I stumbled upon archival documents related to experiments by scientists who, in the past, had attempted to send signals through a rift in time. One of the letters, dated decades ago, contained warnings that interfering with time could have unpredictable consequences. As I read those lines, I couldn't help but feel that my own call was more than just a coincidence. Within the documents, I found references to an abandoned laboratory on the outskirts of town, where, according to rumors, experiments with time streams had been conducted. It became clear to me that the call I had received might be connected to these experiments. Perhaps one of the scientists, or even a group, had managed to create a temporal channel through which the warning reached me, or perhaps the future itself had decided to intervene in my fate. The following evening, when I had almost forgotten my nighttime anxiety, my phone rang again. The screen once more displayed the same unknown number. A shiver ran through me, but now I was ready to learn the truth. "Hello, I'm listening," I said, trying to speak clearly. "You are approaching the moment of truth," said the voice, its tone even colder than before. "Tomorrow night, at the old factory outside of town, everything will change. You must be there." Those words sounded like an order. Inside me, fear and resolve mingled. I realized that if I wanted to somehow alter the predetermined future, or at least understand what awaited me, I had to follow these instructions, even if it meant taking a risk that could change not only my life, but the very fabric of reality. Doubt tormented me, but curiosity ultimately overcame my fear. I decided that the next evening I would go to the abandoned factory to uncover the secret behind this call. The moment of decision drew near. It was a moonless night, and only the faint light of street lamps illuminated the road to the abandoned factory. The factory, once a majestic industrial building, now stood in ruins, shrouded in darkness and oblivion. Its windows were boarded up, and the entrance was covered with graffiti and layers of dust accumulated over time. I approached the building, my heart pounding and my breath growing shallow. In my hands I held nothing but a flashlight and my phone, ready to capture any evidence of the inexplicable. Inside, a cold emptiness and the smell of damp decay mingled with echoes of a long-forgotten past. I wandered through the corridors, feeling every sound echo ominously in the void. Suddenly, amidst the silence, a faint whisper seemed to emanate, as if someone or something was trying to speak from the depths of the building. I froze and listened, but the whisper vanished as quickly as it had appeared. In one of the rooms I discovered an old computer terminal covered in dust and cobwebs. The screen flickered with mysterious data, and nearby lay old records of experiments dated back decades, detailing attempts to send signals through the fabric of time. My hands trembled as I skimmed through the pages, and I felt as if time itself was beginning to lose its stability. Then my phone rang once more. The screen displayed a message. "The time has come. Do not miss your chance." I looked around, my heart beat in sync with the rhythmic patter of rain seeping through broken windows. In that moment, everything took on a sinister clarity. I stood on the threshold of a revelation that could change everything. And within me, a resolve ignited, a determination to uncover the truth no matter the cost. I returned home after that night, exhausted but filled with burning questions. Days passed, and the calls continued. The voice from the future began to provide increasingly detailed instructions, directions on how to avert an impending catastrophe, on how to alter events to save innocent lives. Yet every command was accompanied by a warning about the unpredictable consequences of tampering with fate. One evening, as I sat at my desk surrounded by documents and notes, my phone rang again. I sensed that this call would bring the final, irrevocable decision. "You know what to do," the voice declared coldly. "The future awaits your choice." At that moment, I realized the terrible dilemma before me: to try and change the future, risking the unleashing of even greater horrors, or to accept what was destined and assume my role in this grim spectacle of time. Summoning every ounce of courage, I decided to take the risk. I began acting on the instructions from the future, making small alterations in my behavior, avoiding certain decisions, meeting strangers, and seeking confirmation in the most unexpected places. Every step was accompanied by unnerving signs. Shadows flickered in mirrors, footsteps echoed in empty hallways, as if time itself resisted my every move. I knew that the stakes were higher than just my own life. The fate of many people now hung in the balance. One night, as the rain again drenched the city streets, I received one final call. The voice, barely above a whisper, spoke words that sent a chill down my spine. "Now is the moment of reckoning. Are you ready to change your fate, or will you remain a prisoner of time forever?" Those words, resonating from the depths of my soul, shook me to my core. In that instant, I realized that any attempt to interfere might trigger an even greater wave of horror, yet doing nothing could condemn us all to inevitable disaster. Clutching my phone, I took a deep breath and made my choice. Time seemed to stretch into eternity. Immediately after my decision, the world around me fell into an eerie, suffocating silence. It was as if reality itself began to fracture, like a delicate web on the verge of shattering under an unseen force. The following day, everything appeared disturbingly altered. The streets lay empty, and the sky had taken on a sinister, perpetual gray, as if an eternal storm loomed overhead. The people I once knew now looked like hollow, lifeless specters. Along the alleys, ominous whispers echoed, and shadows moved independently of any light, as if animated by a malevolent will. In every reflective surface, I saw not only my own face, but ghostly silhouettes of those who had vanished. Every new ring of my phone, every faint sound in the darkness deepened my dread. Had my choice truly altered the future, or had it instead opened a gateway to a hellish nightmare? Then, on one fateful, moonless night, when the clock struck midnight, my phone rang again. The screen displayed a message that made my blood run cold. You have broken the balance. Now the price will be exacted. In that moment, the world transformed into a waking nightmare. The faces of those I once loved twisted into ghastly visages, eyes hollow, mouths frozen in silent screams. Their voices became eerie echoes from a realm of unending torment, while the shadows, lurking in corners and reflected in shattered windows, seemed to come alive, haunting reminders that I had unleashed a horror from which there was no escape. Every night became a relentless struggle for survival. The darkness was filled with distant moans and heart-wrenching cries, as if the very souls of the damned were wailing in agony. I watched helplessly as those I cared for transformed into empty husks, wandering aimlessly like lost spirits. In the mirror, I no longer recognized my own face, but saw a tortured, contorted reflection, marred by unending fear and sorrow, a testament to the terrible truth that my decision had awoken a force beyond comprehension. My phone continued to ring, each message a cold, slicing reminder of the irreversible price I had paid. Then, on that final, harrowing night, when hope seemed utterly extinguished, I heard something unimaginable. From the depths of the darkness came a voice, not from the phone this time, but emanating from everywhere, as if the very air itself had begun to speak. You have altered time. Now, your soul is doomed to eternal torment. There is no escape from the fate sealed by your hand. In that moment, I understood with horrifying clarity that the price of my choice was far too high. Everything I once knew faded into oblivion. The sound of the rain ceased, leaving behind a silence so oppressive, it felt as if the universe had exhaled its last breath. I found myself utterly alone, trapped in a labyrinth of nightmares from which there was no return. The world I once knew had been replaced by an endless, oppressive darkness, a future where every moment was a living, unending horror. This is my story. If you ever receive a mysterious call in the dead of night, remember, it may not be just a signal, but an invitation into an abyss where every choice leaves an indelible mark.